be in front of TV.
Okay, are we ready?
Yep.
All right, I am really pleased today to have with us representatives of FEMA and the Biden administration, and Scott Burgess, who's a FEMA coordinator from the Midwest region, and Roberto Baltodano from the Small Business Administration. And what President Biden has done is nothing short of remarkable. And I think you probably know when I sat with him in Traverse City about a week after, and it wasn't Traverse City, it was somewhere up in Cherry Country, about a week after this, I said to him, you know, when this happened in 2014, President Obama got us an emergency declaration within 5 weeks, and he just smiled at me and said, watch how much better that we do. And we are basically 6 weeks out, and this team has already gotten $29 million in awards to Detroiters, almost $50 million in awards to the people of this region. It has been nothing short of remarkable. But before I go through these details, just once again, I want to say thank you to the people of the city of Detroit. The vote yesterday was a really powerful statement of appreciation for what the administration's done, and we deeply appreciate your support. But you know how we are. We got up this morning, we started the cabinet meeting at 9 a.m. talking about assistance to our residents who need it, and we are today taking you through the details. And Detroiters will understand this. I'm going to take you through the FEMA rules, what you can expect in general, as I understand them. And I used to think car insurance was complicated till I got into FEMA regulations. So I'm going to give you general guidelines, but each individual case is going to be different. And if you get a different result than this, don't say, hey, the mayor told me this, but I'm going to give you a pretty good idea of where things are going. There are 4 different ways to register for federal assistance, and most of you have found your way there. There's the disasterassistance.gov site. FEMA has a mobile app, they have a telephone line, and you can now go in person to disaster recovery centers. So if you got impacted by the flooding, there's 4 ways that they are on the ground here helping you. The teams are in Detroit, and you will know them. They will have FEMA badges, FEMA shirts. They'll identify themselves as FEMA. They may knock on your door. They may just be walking down the street in your neighborhood, but they are readily identifiable. Something different than what you experienced for those of you who had a flooding experience in 2014 where the FEMA inspectors came into the house. CDC COVID guidelines are more restrictive now, so don't expect them to go into your house. Don't be surprised if they sit down on your porch with you and take a look at your pictures and your videos and your receipts. When they don't want to go inside the house, it has nothing to do with you, but COVID is coming back, and we need to be talking about vaccines and masks pretty soon because it's heading back toward Michigan. But they're not going into the house is prudent health care protection. You could talk to them. They're there to answer you. And it's been terrific. At one point, I think we counted up 60 people they had here. It's amazing the speed with which the administration has responded. In Detroit now, you have another way. You don't have to wait for folks to get to your house. FEMA has set up 2 disaster recovery centers. One at Go Lightly, which is over on Jefferson, at Dickerson, the Go Lightly Career Technical Center. The other is at Kemeny on Fort Street off of 75 in southwest Detroit, so depending on whether you're east or west. They're there 7 days a week, 7 in the morning until 7 at night. And if at any point you find this confusing, just go up to one of the centers. The feedback I am getting from folks who have gone to the centers is extremely positive as to how helpful the FEMA and the SBA staff have been at these centers. So we've been very anxious to get the centers open, and we're pleased they're now there to service you. And for those of our friends who are watching from the suburbs, they're also at the Henry Ford Library in Dearborn, the Maplewood Community Center in Garden City, and the Eaton Senior Rec Center in Dearborn Heights. And we need to remember, the suburbs were hit, in many cases, harder than we were. And FEMA is not just responding to Detroit, they're responding to the entire region. They are moving quickly. And this is what is just remarkable to me. In 2014, we were just starting to talk about getting the centers up. Now, FEMA has already approved $28 million in grants just to Detroiters. They're nearing $50 million in grants to the southeastern Michigan area. The president only did his declaration of emergency, a disaster area, on July 15th. For FEMA to have gotten this many awards out the door in basically 2 to 3 weeks is nothing short of exceptional, and it gives you an indication that we have a president who cares about us, and you have FEMA administrators who are acting like this is the most pressing thing in the world. And Kevin Sly, the regional administrator from Chicago, has been down here himself, and the whole team has just been deeply committed. But they have rules to follow, and this is complicated, and they're doing everything they can to make sure that our residents get treated as fairly as the federal law allows. As you deal with this, this is my summary. This isn't FEMA summary. This is my summary of what I see are 5 guidelines that you should think about. 1, the only event covered is the storm of June 25th and June 26th. We've had rain on other days since. We've had some cases where basements flooded on other days since. Those are not eligible. The president declared a disaster for the storm of June 25th and June 26th. This is the only one that you can go and apply on. There may be other claims against other people for the other storms, but the only ones you can go to FEMA on are those losses related to the 25th and 26th of June. Second, emergency assistance for FEMA. It covers what's needed to make your house safe and livable. It's not to restore all the losses in your house. And so if you had things that you had stored in the basement, if you've got damage to some different parts that aren't necessary to make the house safe and livable, this isn't a program where they restore everything to the way it was. They will take those steps that make your house safe and livable and reimburse you for those. Third, FEMA is for the uninsured and the underinsured. If you're fully insured, your insurance company needs to pay. If you're not insured for water damage, or if the insurance didn't cover the extent of your damage, FEMA is there for you. So they don't replace your insurance company. They protect you in the event your insurance company does not. Fourth, denial letters are often not final. I know how much we've heard about this, but they may just mean you need to submit more information. And we're going to talk about this today. If you get that first letter that says you're not eligible, we're going to talk about it because in many cases they need more information and you can still get the grant. Don't throw up your arms in despair. And finally, the deadline for FEMA is September 13th. So it's another month, but we really need to get moving. So you should be thinking about those 5 things as you proceed on your application. Now, their coverage is to make your house safe and livable. And so it's going to be different from every single house. But basically, furnaces, hot water heater, electrical damage, sewage and mold, those kinds of things will be eligible for the most part to make the house livable. And so you should be looking for that kind of assistance. Now, if you were storing some furniture in the basement and it flooded, probably not going to be eligible. I'm not going to tell you I'm the FEMA administrator who's going to decide each one, but probably not. But what the FEMA rules say is that those items can be replaced or can be compensated if it's essential living space. And the FEMA rules say essential living space basically is main floor kitchens, bathrooms, occupied bedrooms. And so if you want to know, I had this couch downstairs, am I going to get reimbursed for it? You're going to have to go through a process, but in general, it's going to be a question of whether it's an essential living space. If you got 5 people living in a 2-bedroom house and the basement really was a primary bedroom, that should be considered essential living space. There's a good chance you'll be reimbursed. If it's the place you were storing extra refrigerators or a TV room, it may not. And so your particular representative will make a decision, but be thinking in terms of what's in your basement. Was it essential living space or was it not if you're looking at things like replacing furniture? As I said, the aid is for the uninsured and the underinsured. But here's an important question to ask yourself. You might have homeowners insurance, but the question is, does it cover basement flooding? If you have homeowners insurance, but your basement flooding is not covered, you potentially can get help from FEMA. So don't say, hey, I got a homeowners insurance policy, I can't apply. No, please apply because the insurance may not cover the basement damage, and that's what you need to be thinking about. Here's a question I get asked in every neighborhood I go to, and people in this town are very sophisticated about this. FEMA grants are not taxable income. You don't pay income tax on them. It doesn't affect your eligibility for Social Security or Medicaid, TANF, SSI, the bridge card, any of that. This is the replacement of a loss. It is not income. So don't be afraid that if you apply for the FEMA aid, you're going to jeopardize some other benefits. The law specifically says this doesn't count against you. So please apply. So how do I apply? You go to disasterassistance.gov. And there is a link that says Michigan Severe Storms. And you click on it. They've got it set up just for us. And you need to expect to spend some time because this is probably going to be a half hour or so for you to get through all of the questions on things like home ownership, insurance questions, and the like. But it is well worth it for an awful lot of people. If you have insurance, when you go onto the site, here's what you should be prepared to do. You have to file a claim with your insurance company. You're going to get a letter back from them. It may well deny you. You need a copy of that letter. And then you're going to file both your original claim and their letter with your FEMA application. That lets FEMA know that your insurance company does not cover this, and therefore you are entitled to turn to FEMA to have your home be kept in a safe and livable condition. Okay, you submit your application. What happens? They're going to send you back a text or an email that says they've got it. And you need to keep your login information. This is really important. Make sure you write it down, store it on your phone, but your user ID, your password, and your PIN number, because you're going to be able to track where your application stands every step of the way. If you give them their text number, you can see on the right side what a text from FEMA is going to look like. You can use that text link to keep up on the status of your application. So you don't need to say, oh, I haven't heard back from them. Actually, you can check using this link and see exactly where things stand. Now, if you get a letter saying you are ineligible, I must have heard from a dozen people. I got my letter that said it didn't apply to me. Read the letter carefully and see the reason. We have got people who got an ineligibility letter because they literally checked the wrong box on the form on where the disaster was. We've got people who have gotten an ineligibility letter because they didn't have the documentation readily available that they own the house. There's a lot of reasons you can get that initial denial letter, and in many cases, there's a chance to fix it. So please don't get it and say that's the end. Look at it carefully, see what the reason is. You have the right to appeal within 60 days. They got a telephone number to help you. And the best thing, this is what I'm hearing from people, is folks who have gotten the denial letters have gone down to Kemeny and Go Lightly. And I'm hearing this story over and over. Either the person in my neighborhood said I wasn't eligible or I wasn't complete. I got the notice in the mail. I went down to Kemeny. I went down to Go Lightly, and I sat there. And from everything I am hearing, the FEMA staff has been terrific. They go through with you, and believe me, this is enormously complicated. And they will talk through with you all the things you need to do. They're there to help you. They didn't fly all the way out here to say no. If you are legally entitled to help, they are going to help you. So don't hesitate to go into one of these centers if you're confused and just sit down and say, let me tell you my situation. Can you help me? And I think you'll feel, at least what I'm hearing, people are being treated in a very respectful way. You may get a suggestion to apply for an SBA loan, and this is what I'm hearing all the time. Why did they send me something saying I should apply for an SBA loan? I don't want a loan. Here's what I would say to you. you cannot lose by applying for the loan. Even if you don't want a loan, you can't lose by applying for it. So FEMA grant awards, they're determined on your needs, the extent of your damage, and the like. And sometimes you will get something saying you should apply for an SBA loan. There are circumstances in which you apply for an SBA loan, the SBA turns you down, and now because you don't have another source, FEMA can give you a grant. I know this sounds complicated, but when you see this SBA thing, you don't have to take the SBA loan, but fill it out and turn it in. And this is the only time in your life you're going to be happy somebody turns you down for a loan. Because it is possible that when you get turned down for the SBA loan, you are now eligible for FEMA assistance. You're going to get a chance to hear from the SBA representative. So when you see something on the SBA loan saying, oh, they're trying to push a loan on me, no, they're not. They're not trying to make loan fees. They're following a process to give you every chance to find a way to get you a grant, and you may turn out to want a loan that may be favorable. But one way or another, don't be afraid to fill out the loan form. Okay, what if I'm a renter? Renters generally can't get paid for the repair and cleanup costs. That's your landlord's responsibility. So don't go file an application as a renter saying, hey, I want the repair costs. The landlord is going to have to do that. But what FEMA is there for on you and a renter is if the place is uninhabitable, your landlord is doing nothing, there is potentially relocation assistance to get you out of that situation to a different, safe, and livable situation. And of course, Dave Bell and the BC Department are coming down very hard with $500 a day fines on those landlords that aren't responding, and we're not having a lot of this. But if you are a renter in a situation you just want out because they haven't cleaned it up, it is you potentially have support there. And for your lost personal property, it's again worthwhile to go to SBA, and in some circumstances there may even be help with your losses and grants from FEMA. So I will say to you again, take the time to fill out the SBA loan process. It can only be to your benefit. And again, you've got the helpline, or just go down to Kemeny and Go Lightly and tell them your story, and they will help you. Okay, what if I'm a business owner or a landlord? What we have today is FEMA grants are for individuals. They're not available to the landlord. They're not available to the business owner. What is available to the landlords and the business owners are SBA loans. And again, you can get those at disasterloanassistance.sba.gov or by going and seeing the SBA staff, because the SBA staff is sitting next to the FEMA staff at Go Lightly and Kemeny. So again, you got a theme here. The centers at Go Lightly and Kemeny is the Biden administration's efforts to be set up in the city of Detroit to serve you directly, and we should take advantage of that. And then there's a whole range of SBA assistance that can be available to these businesses and landlords, and nothing requires you to take the loan. Go through, see what kind of terms you get. If it's worthwhile, go ahead and take it. If you don't take it, there's no penalty. There's no downside to going through that process. So that is my summary of how things are working. You're going to get a chance to hear from the experts, and believe me, they will clarify this in a lot of detail. If you're in the suburbs, again, we got additional sites, and it's important to remember this whole area got hit, but there are suburban drop-off centers. There's a business recovery center in Dearborn Heights at the Caroline Kennedy Library, and I know we got people who watch this from the surrounding communities, and the FEMA services are there in Dearborn, in Dearborn Heights, in Grosse Pointe, in Garden City, and in the other areas that have been hit. And so while I'm talking today to Detroiters, the great majority of what I'm saying is going to be applicable to the other areas that were included in the President's disaster declaration. So that gives you a broad sense. But now I wanted to make sure we had the experts who can answer more precise questions on any of these. And let me please start with the coordinator, the disaster coordinator from the Chicago office, Scott Burgess. Scott?
Thank you, sir. But ma'am, I would like you to have a moment to speak to the constituency, please.
All right, so sneaking in while I wasn't looking was our great Congresswoman, Brenda Lawrence. Congresswoman?
Thank you.
Good to see you.
Good to see you. Congratulations. I'm here today in my role as the Congresswoman for the 14th District, which was devastated by the floods. And I'm here to say and to encourage everyone of all the bad things that we can say about government, it worked in this situation. And so I'm thankful that President Biden, the local and state officials responded and acted swiftly to this tragedy. Many Michiganders are trying to navigate on how to get access to relief and to funding. Our mayor did an excellent job of going through those steps. So the things that I really want to home in that the mayor talked about is the ability to appeal a denial. When I spoke to FEMA, they said, we don't need more information language. We don't have you transpose numbers. They just put denied, and that's their way of telling you to appeal and to do all the things that the mayor said. These centers are available. Help, really, when I said help was on the way, when I walked the streets, like the mayor in my district, talking to the residents, that we literally have FEMA on the ground going door to door, in addition to now our centers, our resource centers. So in addition to Grosse Pointe, Detroit centers that you heard about, we also have Harper Woods. And so we are now moving to have a mobile unit in Hamtramck as well. So I want you to know that following the flood, when we coordinated with the counties, with the cities, and with our governor to collectively, and my colleagues, congressional members, we all hands on deck. For the administration to respond, I want everyone to know it was faster than normal. It was swift, and it was immediate that we saw the actions of the declaration. It wasn't months. And so to follow up with the detail that you heard from the mayor, this is not an insurance policy. I know a lot of people thought, well, FEMA's on the ground, it's going to replace. I had my basement, it was a man cave, it was decked out, I had furniture, big TVs, and everything. Those are not going to be replaced. They were not essential to living, and that's a term you'll hear. Was it, if you had set up your basement for additional living quarters for a mother-in-law or in-laws or for adult child, and it was living space, it changes the whole conversation. And if you need any assistance, I want everyone to know that you can visit my website, lawrence.house.gov. The mayor has given out his information. You can also contact my Detroit or Southfield office at 248-356-2052. I want to thank all the resources, because I have not encountered a single government entity that did not understand the complexity and have the compassion to respond during this time. So while we get overwhelmed with what's not working with our government, let's take a moment and say that when we said help was on the way, it showed up, and I will continue to work with my mayor, my other colleagues, and others to ensure that we get you the help that you need. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Congresswoman. And there is not a city in America that has two more effective members of Congress than the city of Detroit. Let me now introduce our other partner, Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib.
Thank you so much, Mayor. And I cannot appreciate enough all of our FEMA agencies being on the ground. I went door to door with them throughout Wayne County, actually, not only in the city of Detroit. And they really truly led with some compassion. They saw that many of our seniors are still struggling to get the debris out of their basements, many of which, one I remember, got an eye infection because she was trying to do it all on her own. I'm just asking all of my Detroit neighbors, you're not alone. You don't have to do it all alone, that we are here to help. And so understand that FEMA, yes, needs you to have that initial contact. But whatever the result of FEMA, know this. We have state emergency relief. State emergency relief assistance from the state can be up to $1,500 per person. They already confirmed with us that can be used to help clean out that debris, to have a contractor come out and do that. We want to help you access that, as well as $4,000 for any energy related issues like your furnace, your water heater, anything of that nature. And guess what? Renters also qualify for state emergency relief assistance. So just know this. FEMA, yes, the initial contact. And yes, we're going to have American Red Cross and some of the more, what I call the super centers for FEMA, and they call MARC centers. And we're going to also have a lot of our, what we call folks that can make appointments for navigation around the state emergency relief assistance, making appointments so they can help you fill out that application. Know this also, your congressional office, and I have a great partner in Brenda Lawrence, in that I don't care if it's something to upload, like proof of ownership, anything like that. Know this, if you're not going to provide that information and you end up getting the denial, it doesn't mean you can't appeal it. I want you to appeal it. I want to help you show that you do indeed live in that home, you do indeed own that home, and we want to help you get those documentation in. I don't like the red tape. I know that. I know what it did to my family. It's very challenging. But I'm a social worker at heart, and I know this. There are so many amazing organizations right here in Detroit, some great partners in our local elected folks that are willing to be there for you. Again, you're not alone in getting through this. I want to make sure that you're getting the funding and the assistance, and know that long term, we're not going to allow this to continue to happen. None of you deserve that, to feel the way you feel every time it starts raining. We want to have bold, meaningful investment in our infrastructure. And that means dealing with the combined sewer system, dealing with the fact that we have a really drastic global issue regarding climate. But that is where you all give us credibility. When you say enough is enough, and we can go back to Washington, D.C., Brenda Lawrence and I, and say we need to do strong investment in our infrastructure because our families can't live like this anymore. So with that, again, know that my door is always open to you, 13 District Strong. You know the neighborhood service centers throughout the district is there to help you. Know that no matter what the challenge is at that time, we have your back. Know that what you provide FEMA is not going to be shared with any other agency. They'll protect you. That's your information that you're giving to FEMA. So please know that, again, we're here to help. And again, finally, please remember what I keep saying. You're not alone. We have your back. Thank you.
Scott, I think you're up. Well, Representatives Tlaib and Lawrence, thank you for being here. Appreciate the opportunity. Mayor, thank you for the opportunity to speak to everybody. Good afternoon. My name is Scott Burgess. I'm FEMA's Federal Coordinating Officer in the recovery operation for Southeast Michigan. In coordination with our federal, state, and local partners, that's kind of the algorithm of how we do it. Federally supports, state leads, and the local executes this process. Our FEMA team is working hard to ensure individuals affected by the late June storms and flooding get help they need to recover. In just under 3 weeks, you already heard the numbers on the earlier slides, but it's nearly 50 million have been set up for individuals in Washtenaw and Wayne counties, and that amount continues to increase every day. But specific to Detroit, like you said, roughly 2/3 of that entire amount of roughly 30,000 registrants, and roughly $29 million have been just for the city alone. So it's very, very heavy and is coming quick. That's about a record's pace as far as FEMA getting stuff on the ground. Our hardworking FEMA team has established, as he said, 5 disaster recovery centers and 2 document drop-off centers. Those are key locations that have been shared on that slide for you to go to try to get some help. Even after you may have applied, you've got follow-up work, questions to answer. There's subject matter experts there to help you. FEMA disaster assistance teams are also out in the communities. We call them disaster survivor assistant folks. They've been knocking on doors, like the mayor said, and trying to help you. And some folks who have been disabled and some folks who have been homebound have been able to get direct support from those folks. But they're out and about to help you, and they will continue for the weeks to come. Along with our partners, FEMA is here to help the Southeast Michiganders, but we can't provide that help if individuals don't register first. And it can be a challenge, but those of you who are here on, I believe we're on Facebook, or is that correct? Yes. So you have web access. If you can, You can also apply online, as he said, at the disasterassistance.gov website. I'll repeat that again, one word, disasterassistance.gov. And those of you who are listening in on your smartphones, you can also get the FEMA mobile app, and that is another platform in which you can apply. Probably the easiest, but sometimes a long hold, is calling our FEMA helpline, and I'll repeat that nice and slow. 1-800-621-3362. The last 4 letters also spell FEMA. So I'll speak it one more time. 800-800-221-3362. But as we said before, you can also go to any one of the disaster centers that we have listed. The FEMA helpline is also an important resource to get you the questions answered about the assistance process and to help you understand the FEMA decision. So you can also visit, like we said, a disaster recovery center or document drop-off center for a one-on-one support. If you saw the pictures, it's very helpful. So bottom line, FEMA is here to committed to supporting the long-term recovery of Southeast Michigan. But, and we talked about certain applications and things that were on those slides today. There's so many variants. The best thing is to ask some questions and get some answers specifically for what applies to you. Eligibility circumstances are quite complicated. FEMA can only get you so far. We're going to try to get you into a safe place. We can't rebuild everything for you because it's just not possible, humanly possible, for all of us to do it. But there are great other agencies. As she said, Red Cross and others are being in line to help. There's a lot of things outside the government, other federal agencies even, that can help. So we're not alone. We're going to collaborate, communicate, and coordinate. So we're here committed to supporting long-term recovery in Southeast Michigan. And by way of introduction, I would like to introduce the Small Business Administration loan expert, Roberto Baltanano.
Thank you.
Sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Congresswoman, for being here and for allowing us to share how FEMA and the SBA are providing assistance. The SBA was created to promote and empower the American dream of owning a small business. That is our mission day to day. When disaster strikes, the Office of Disaster Assistance, my team, comes out and provides help and hope by way of a disaster loan. Since last night, as of close of business last night, we had done just that. We had approved 195 loans for a total of $5.8 million for Michiganders. And our work is just getting started. So what we have to offer, in addition to that holding your hand, if you will, in terms of the process by visiting any one of our teams at the Disaster Recovery Center, is affordable, long-term, low-interest disaster loans for business owners, nonprofit organizations, homeowners, and renters. And so everyone in that group is encouraged to apply for an SBA loan. We say register with FEMA, apply with SBA, and we'll expand a little bit about what that is. And so physical disaster loans are available to homeowners, up to $200,000 for the homeowner to be able to repair or replace physical property damage. Think in terms of damages that may have occurred to the structure of your home, to the contents of your home, including automobiles. Renters can apply for up to $40,000 to be able to repair their contents. Look around you if you're a renter. Anything you can take with you when you move, if it was destroyed by this disaster, you can apply for an SBA property damage loan in order to be able to repair or replace those goods, including an automobile. We also have economic injury loans, which is in essence working capital. And so businesses, nonprofit organizations can apply for up to $2 million for them to be able to pay and maintain those commitments that for one reason or another, they're unable to maintain as a result of this disaster. And so interest rates are very low as 1.625 for homeowners and renters, 2.88 for business loans, and 2% for nonprofit organizations. And so again, what we offer is that additional line of funding. The SBA is the largest source of disaster recovery funding. Think in terms of, again, your insurance. The mayor spoke about making sure that you file that claim, that you document that claim, and then you register with FEMA and speak to FEMA about those immediate needs, making your home livable again. And when you start talking about long-term recovery, we want you to think about the SBA. And most importantly, we want you to apply for an SBA loan. And you can do that by visiting sba.gov/disaster. It is your first step towards a long-term recovery. It is a conversation that we want to have with you. There are no fees, there are no costs to apply, but the time it takes for you to apply. And most importantly, as the mayor said, once you're approved, you don't have to take the loan. And if you do, you can take it in segments. We can work with you if your project in long-term recovery, for example, is going to be rebuilding your home in stages. We can work with you to be disbursing those dollars in stages to make sure that you are able to manage those dollars effectively. That is to the degree in which we walk you through that long-term recovery. And so again, register with FEMA, apply with SBA by visiting sba.gov/disaster. You can also call us for information or to obtain applications by dialing 1-800-659-2955, 800-659-2955, or better yet, come see us. We're right next to FEMA at any one of the disaster recovery centers, and we have a business recovery center located at the Caroline Kennedy Library, 24590 George Avenue in Dearborn Heights. We're there Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. The disaster recovery centers are open 7 days a week, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. So we're only a call, a click, or a visit away. So we'll be looking forward to seeing you all. Thank you.
Okay, we have the most eloquent SBA administrator in America here, Roberto. Thank you. And so this is your levels of government working together, our congressional delegation, our city, and of course Governor Whitmer and the state emergency response team that helped make this happen so fast. And with that, we'll take questions. You got your federal experts here, and I think they can probably answer anything you ask.
I have two questions, one for the SBA and one for you, Mr. Mayor. You put out at one of the press conferences regarding getting help and bags and stuff. I've been to several sites, not been able to get it.
Not be able to get what now?
Bags and stuff to help people get stuff out of their basement.
Okay. Yeah,
The cleaning.
Yeah, cleaning supplies are posted online as they come in. That's, I don't know if there's somebody here who can talk about when the cleaning supplies come in. Who's handling that? Come on up and give us the answer here.
Okay, to address your question, so we have been distributing cleaning kits weekly at multiple locations around the city, Samaritan Center,
On the east
Patton,
side.
as well as Go Lightly. We have another distribution this week on Thursday, as well as the DRCs, we will also have distribution.
So to follow up with that, I was trying to say at the end of that, when you go, they say they want it, you have to get the shirt and all the rest of the stuff. They want you to be with one of the groups. So we have groups already doing it, and I was told that we could go get the cleaning materials. So was that inadequate information? I know I've tried to call Vicky several times with no return calls, because that's who I was told to call. But in the meantime, when churches or community groups go to those places, the Samaritan or either down in Patton Park, they saying those materials were for the people that's going to do the actual cleaning with the volunteer groups.
That is inaccurate information. However, if you reach out to me, I will directly connect you with the correct people to get you whatever resources you need.
Okay.
Yes.
And Mr. Mayor, before I relinquish going to the SBA, when it comes to the cars that were affected on the freeway or wherever the cars, some streets were flooded, or I guess that should go to the FEMA. Is that going to be covered by FEMA as well, the cars that were affected, before I go to SBA people?
I'm sorry.
The cars that were flooded or that were messed up mechanically, is FEMA covering that?
I have a subject matter expert, but she's not going to be able. Would you like to come up, miss? Sure. Stand by. Thank you, ma'am.
As far as vehicles are concerned, they may be eligible for FEMA assistance. That's one of the categories where people need to apply through the Small Business Administration first. Of course, that vehicle, if you have insurance, that's your first resort, potentially then covered by SBA, and if not, there may be a referral to FEMA, to our second grant program, which is called the Other Needs Assistance Program. So there is coverage for lost vehicles.
Okay. And is that also the mechanical part where people had to get their cars fixed because of the...
Right, it's for repairs caused by flood damage. And I know that there were many people whose cars were sitting in their driveways or whose vehicles were on the freeway. People do not have to have home damage in order to register. If they simply lost a vehicle, that is something that they can call, register for, and they'll go through the process, just like everyone else.
And when it comes to the SBA, I'm assuming that the process gets you more information, or are you really needing to qualify for a loan or disqualify for a loan in order for the federal process? I know when I worked in for Katrina, there was different processes in order for us to not ask for information over here. We asked for it over there. Is that the same thing where the SBA is able to ask for more information related to the loss?
And so the one thing I'd like to say is, and that is a great question, and thank you for making it, because do not disqualify yourself by assuming and thinking, come in. Go to sba.gov/disaster. Come over and see us at one of the DRCs. Let's discuss your specific situation. We're going to guide you through the process. We will require some basic information, but as the mayor well said, it is our job and our responsibility and our prime objective to protect your information. We're going to ask for some basic information. We're going to ask you for an ID to establish identity, to establish a place of residence. If you're a business owner, we're going to ask you for business ownership related information, your taxes. And so that is standard in our process and in order to complete the application. But as I said, do not disqualify yourself just by assuming that you will be asking for information that you may not have. Reach out and find out how easy it is to navigate the process. And like I said, at the end of the day, you don't have to take the loan, and the only time it takes for you to complete it is the time it takes for you to complete the process, rather. There are no fees associated with it. So I hope that is an answer that satisfies you, and most importantly, one that motivates survivors to apply.
Yes,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Larry Sproul with Local 4. I have two questions as well. One is for FEMA, and then my second question is for Mayor Duggan. My first question would be, I know there was an outline of reasons why certain homeowners received a denial letter. I spoke with one homeowner, and she mentioned that FEMA never went to her house or called her, but yet she had a denial letter in regards to, I forgot the reason behind it. What would you suggest that she should do in regards to reapplying?
To definitely, if she can, get to one of the disaster recovery centers and bring that paperwork with. We'll help read through it. We'll help give some guidance, just to assist and clarify. Because it's written, it's in a technical manner, but we're here to assist, and we have folks, if they can't, we can possibly have come visit at where they live. So every variable and difference, I can't tell you exactly what needs to be done, but if they can bring that document, we can help interpret it for them and get a solution possibly put together.
All right, thank you. My
Thank
second
you, sir.
question is for you, Mayor Duggan. You opened up the news conference by mentioning masks and COVID. Is there any, would you consider doing a mask mandate for the city of Detroit like other cities?
That's the governor's decision as far as having that kind of authority, and so we will follow the state direction on that. But I was in touch with the White House yesterday on a range of things, including how long until we get a formal approval on the Pfizer and Moderna vaccines, how long until the third shot's approved. There are a lot of moving pieces right now, but people ought to be aware. In Detroit, Friday we had 20 people hospitalized. Monday we had 30 people hospitalized. Today we got more than 40 people hospitalized. COVID is creeping back into this city, and while it's not like it was, we need to be careful.
Thank you.
All right, thank you all very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Good.